Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, another discussion. The idea that I'm discussing today is flying with fountain pens. So there are a lot of videos about this. Today, all I want to do is discuss my method, what I do, and hopefully that'll give you a little idea. So if this video is of interest to you, please like, subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. But right now, let's get started. So one question we get asked a lot, both here on my channel, but also, in the stationery shop where I often work, is can I fly with my fountain pens? I don't want to fly with them. I don't want to travel with them. Well, why not? There are a number of things you can do that make it easier for you, but also that can safeguard you against any issues. So I have 5 main tips that cover what I do when I travel with my fountain pens. So tip number 1 is travel with empty pens. Now that's easier said than done sometimes. Obviously if you're using piston fillers or vac fillers like the custom 823 from Pilot here, or any of those kinds of pens, emptying them and refilling them can be a bit of a pain. So often when I will travel with cartridge converter pens only. And most of the time I will just use ink cartridges. Now there are a couple of options for this. You can either use the pre-filled cartridges. I love my Diamine ink cartridges. Or you can get ink cartridges and then use the stoppers. There are a range of brands that make little stoppers for ink cartridges now. I've got brass ones, which I've had for a few years now. There are rubber ones, there are 3D printed ones, all kinds of things you can get for standard international sort of cartridges and a few other brands. And that is always an option, because that allows you to use whatever ink you want to use, and also gives you the option to use, to be more sustainable and less plastic sort of use. I've not tried them in converters, but logic says they will work in converters as well. I generally just fill up a couple of ink cartridges or take a couple of pre-filled cartridges, put them in a little Ziploc bag and travel with them in my pencil case. Now, I've done travel where I've been taking flights, over a period of months where I've been on the road with the opera tours and things like that. And I will be, on a flight every few days sometimes. That's not always the most convenient thing. It's not always the best thing in terms of, waste and things like that. So I still say travel with your pens. I've not had huge leaks in my pens, filled or empty. And I'm going to cover a few of the things in later tips as to how I've made that possible. But always remember, if you travel with your fountain pens, follow a few simple rules, and one of those is travel with empty pens, if that is possible for you. The second tip follows on from that, and that is to keep them as full as possible, particularly when you start out on the journey. If your pen is full cartridge, full converter, full piston, whatever, there's less space for air. And the big problem with flying with fountain pens or going to any altitude is that the air expands as the pressure changes. And if you've got, let's say you've got your fountain pen and you've got it nib down and this air bubble at the back here behind the ink expands, that's going to push ink out. So the less air, the less chance for expansion, the less chance there is of ink spilling. So keep them as full as possible. How does that work towards the end of a trip when you've been using it for 2 weeks? Well, that's the downside to this tip. It's hard to do. Maybe take ink with you in a little, sample vial or a, travel-friendly vial and top your pen up before the flight. Or, as I said in tip 1, maybe empty it back into a sample vial or something if that's an issue for you. Those are 2 fairly sort of generic points. The next 3 are the real actual tips and how I go about traveling with my fountain pens. And the first one, tip number 3, is use a pen with a shut-off valve. So something like a vac filler, like the Pilot Custom 823, when that piston is locked down, or that vac filling rod is locked down, it shuts the main ink compartment off from the nib and grip. So any air that expands in here can't push ink out. Opus 88 pens do the same. There's a lot of these pens that have the little shut-off valve that are great for flying. I travel with a number of these, and I'm going to show a few of those things that I do in the next tip. So the next tips are, do not put them into your checked luggage. Keep them in your hand luggage and travel with them upright. So what I do is one of my pen cases that I've been traveling with recently is this cheap AliExpress leather pen case that is has a little latch and it's hard. And this is actually a setup I traveled with recently: a Jinhao X450, which is a cartridge converter pen, the Gravitas Monster, which is a backfiller that does have the shut-off valve, and the Gravitas Micarta, which is another cartridge converter pen. And I had no issues. This was a number of flights, no leaking whatsoever. I'll put them into a pen case like this, and I will put that into the seat compartment in front of me. So it's upright, and the chance of the air expanding is only going to expand in a smaller space. And if anything, the ink that is in the section and feed, you might get a drop of ink in the cap, but I actually had no issues with any of these. Other cases I really like using for this are the Lockby cases. So this is the Lockby Duo, and this is another pen setup I traveled with recently. I've got the Gravitas Piston Carbon Black and then the Hongdian C1. Piston filler, cartridge converter, no issue. So I have them in here, and I just, once again, put that into the compartment in front of me, on the back of the seat in front of me, sat upright, no issues. I don't use my fountain pens during the flight. I don't tend to. I do always also carry a ballpoint pen, something like the Lamy Logo LX with the Jetstream refill in it, those kinds of things. Those are simple and easy and quick to use. Yeah, I always carry them in here, carry them in my hand luggage. This is the Lockby Quattro, which is the 4-pen setup. This one is really good for another reason, which I'll show in tip number 5, but it ties into all of this in the same way. So tip number 5 includes something like the Lockby Quattro or any sort of more open pen case and a Ziploc bag. So when I'm traveling, I like to use something like the Quattro or the Duo because it's small, it can go into a sling bag, and I have my 2 or 4 pens or whatever I'm carrying on me ready to go. Now, this is great for sort of traveling with the Ziploc bag, because what I will do is I'll put the pens simply into a Ziploc bag, zip it up. I'll just demonstrate here with the Pilot Custom 823. Put it into the Ziploc bag, zip it up, make sure that all the air is out, roll it up, make sure it's completely sealed. And then for the duration of the flight, these just live upright in the middle of the pen case, because I could have 4 pens or so in there. Just, once again, nice and in the seat in front of me. The Ziploc bag just protects you against the option of anything sort of exploding or leaking. As I said, I fly a lot. I think in 2025, I took over, I think it was well over, close to 50 flights across the year. And I never had a pen leak. I had maybe 1 or 2 occasions where there was like a drop of ink on the nib, but nothing that got into the cap, nothing that got onto the grip section. Maybe I was lucky, maybe it's just the preparations that I take. But all these little things I do make flying with fountain pens entirely plausible. Now, this isn't gospel. Your results may vary, and you could do all of this exactly as I have done here. Get on your next flight, open up that Ziploc bag, and it could be filled with ink. That can happen. I'm just saying, I haven't had an issue. Maybe I'm lucky, but these are the precautions I take that may help me. I know a lot of other people take less precautions and still don't have issues at all, or at least major issues. So those are my tips for flying with fountain pens. Is it foolproof? No. Is it plausible? Absolutely. Just take care. And as I said, the Ziploc bag is a great addition, just for that extra level of protection for your case, for your clothes, for everything. If it leaks into here, it leaks into here. It's not leaking everywhere. So that's just my little tips. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support my channel, I'd really love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy flying with your pens, and I'll talk to you again soon.